Laura Bennett stood at the main console of the research outpost, her eyes fixed on the quiet hum of screens that lit the dim room. The outpost floated on the edge of human space, far from Earth and far from any major colony. Most days passed in silence, with nothing but drifting dust, faint signals, and small routine scans to keep the crew busy. But Laura liked the quiet. She liked the chance to think. The outpost crew was small, only 20 people. They were scientists, technicians, and a few security officers trained to keep everything safe. One of them, Eric Holt, walked into the control room with a mug in his hand. His steps were relaxed at first, but when he saw Laura's tense expression, his face changed. "Everything all right?" he asked. Laura shook her head slowly. "Something is moving near the border. I can't identify it yet. It isn't sending a code, and it isn't in any of our records." Eric moved closer to the console and watched the faint dots on the display. At first there were only 3, then 4, then 10. The dots moved in a sharp formation too perfect to be natural objects. "Warships?" Eric asked quietly. "Maybe," Laura said, "or something like them, but we haven't had contact from anything outside the Alliance for years." He set his mug down and leaned over the controls. "Let me check the long-range scans." She stepped aside and Eric typed in a command. The scan expanded across the region, showing the ships in more detail. Their hull shapes were strange, curved plates of dark silver that reflected almost no light. Their engines pushed out an eerie pale glow. "I don't like that design," Eric muttered. "Looks like something built for intimidation." Laura felt her chest tighten. Something deep inside warned her that this was not a passing traveler or a lost vessel. These ships were here for a reason. Eric sent a quick message to their defense satellites, ordering them to activate. The satellites were old and not meant for a major conflict, but they could at least send warnings and record the events. The outpost lights flickered as systems shifted into alert mode. "Let's call Central Command," Laura said. She opened a direct link to Earth's military network, but the signal refused to connect. She tried again, and again. Each attempt failed. "They're blocking our communication," she whispered. Eric looked sharply at her. "Then this is planned." Moments later, the mysterious ships changed formation. Instead of moving past the border, they pointed straight toward the outpost. The lead vessel's hull shimmered, and a sudden pulse of energy shot out like a spear of light. The first satellite exploded. Laura flinched back as the outpost shook. Her heart hammered, and Eric grabbed the console to keep his balance. "They're firing on us," Laura cried. Another burst of energy shot across the space and destroyed 2 more satellites. Within seconds, the entire defense grid was collapsing. Eric activated the outpost's shield, but it was weak. It was never built to withstand a real attack. "Send all data to the backup drives," Laura ordered breathlessly. "We need to record everything." The outpost alarm blared across every hallway. Crew members ran to their stations as the hull trembled from distant strikes. "Why are they attacking?" Eric asked, raising his voice over the noise. Laura shook her head. "We've never even seen these ships before." A sudden message flashed on her console. It was an intercepted transmission from the enemy ships. The words were in a language Earth had never seen, but the outpost's translator program tried to decode it. The translation appeared in fragments, broken but readable. It said, "Test response time, remove obstacles, human resistance minimal." Laura felt cold all over. "They think we won't fight back," she whispered. Eric clenched his fists. "They think they can walk in and take what they want." The next explosion hit the outpost directly. The floor shuddered violently. Sparks burst from one of the panels. Laura steadied herself and tried to keep her eyes on the readings. "Shields at 40%, Eric shouted. "Reroute power from the lower decks," she replied. He worked fast, shifting power to the shield system while the rest of the crew fought to stabilize the failing structure. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the attack stopped. Laura stared at the scanners. The enemy ships were moving away. "They're leaving," she said. "Why?" Eric asked. Laura swallowed. "Maybe because they got what they wanted. They tested us." The outpost was badly damaged. Hull plates were cracked. Several labs were destroyed, but the crew was alive. Eric wiped sweat from his forehead. "We need to contact command before they come back." Laura's fingers trembled as she tried to restore the long-range communicator. The dish outside the outpost was damaged but not destroyed. After several tense moments, the system flickered to life. A voice answered. "This is Fleet Command. Identify yourself." Laura exhaled sharply. "This is Laura Bennett from Outpost 9. We were attacked by unknown vessels. They came from outside the border and destroyed our defense grid." There was silence on the other end. Finally, the voice replied, "Can you describe the attackers?" Laura hesitated. "They were coordinated, precise, and they acted like they expected us to be slow." Another voice joined the transmission, a deeper, calmer one. "This is Commander Daniel Price," he said. "We received fragments of your data bursts. We need everything you recorded." Eric sent the files immediately. After a few minutes, Daniel spoke again. "Your information confirms our larger concern," he said. "We have identified the attackers as the Arcanis Empire." Eric frowned. "Empire? We haven't heard of them." "No one has," Daniel answered, "until now." Laura felt the weight of the situation settling on her shoulders. "Why would they attack us without warning?" Daniel's voice remained steady, but there was tension underneath. "Because they think humans are weak," he said. "They think we're unprepared. They think we're an easy target." Laura looked around at the damage in the outpost. Maybe that's what it looked like from the outside. "So what do we do now?" she asked quietly. Daniel paused for a moment before replying. "We answer them," he said, "but not with fear." Eric raised an eyebrow. "How do we answer an empire?" Daniel's tone became cold, sharp, and unmistakably human. "We give them one warning," he said. "A warning they won't forget." Laura exchanged a glance with Eric. She could tell the commander was not someone who spoke lightly. "What do you mean?" she asked. "We will broadcast a message across the border and into their territory," Daniel said. "A message that tells them exactly what they've done, and what will happen if they continue." Eric leaned forward. "What kind of message?" Daniel's reply came in a quiet, controlled voice. "Run while you still can." Laura's breath caught. It sounded bold, dangerous, but also honest. "Do you think they'll listen?" she asked. "No," Daniel admitted, "but they will remember it, and when we fight back they will understand why." The outpost crew repaired what they could while the fleet prepared its message. Engineers worked through the night. Pilots arrived to evacuate the wounded. Laura stayed in the control room, watching the data streams from Earth's command center. The message was ready. Daniel Price walked into the broadcast chamber. The fleet recorded everything as he spoke. "To the Arcanis Empire," he said. "Your attack on human space will not be forgotten. You struck first. You fired without warning. You destroyed our defenses and threatened our people." He paused, his eyes hard. "We give you one chance, one warning. Run while you still can." The message was sent. Across the border and into the unknown reaches of space, it spread. The translation systems carried it into dozens of languages, including the strange symbols of the Arcanis Empire. Laura watched it leave the network, feeling something shift inside her. The fear she'd felt during the attack was still there, but something else had grown beside it, strength. Eric came to stand beside her. "Do you think this will stop them?" Laura shook her head gently. "No, but I think it tells them they're wrong about us." Eric nodded. "Good, let them find out the hard way." Far beyond the outpost, the Empire's ships regrouped. Their commanders examined the human message with cold amusement. They believed humans were slow, weak, predictable. They were wrong. And soon the galaxy would discover the truth. Humanity was not an empire. Humanity was not a machine. Humanity was not a silent world waiting to be conquered. When attacked, humanity answered. And this time it answered with a warning. Run while you still can. Laura Bennett woke early the next morning, even though her sleep had been short and uneasy. The outpost was quieter than usual. Much of its power had been redirected for repairs, and many hallways still flickered with weak emergency lights. But the calm did not feel peaceful. It felt like the pause before something larger. She walked into the control room and found Eric Holt already at the main console. His uniform jacket was folded on the chair beside him, and his eyes looked tired, but his posture was alert. "Morning," Laura said softly. Eric nodded. "Command sent updates during the night. The fleet is preparing their response." Laura pulled up a nearby seat. "Did they say how many ships they're sending?" "Not exactly," he replied, "but they did say the fleet won't show everything they have. They don't want the Empire to learn too much too fast." Laura leaned back. "So we're hiding our strength." "More like revealing it slowly," Eric said with a small shrug. She watched the screen for a long moment. More messages and data streams were flowing in now. Human space was waking up. The attack had reached nearly every colony news channel, and people across the system were asking the same question. Why would an unknown empire decide to strike first? Standing beside the console, Laura rubbed her temple. I still don't understand their goal. Even in the translation fragments, they sounded like we were just an obstacle. Eric crossed his arms. That means they studied us, at least enough to think they understood us. Laura turned to him. But they didn't. He gave a faint smile. No. They didn't. The door opened behind them and a young technician stepped in. It was Daniel Price's communication officer sent ahead by the fleet. Her name was Lily Hart, a quiet woman with sharp eyes who moved quickly and didn't waste words. Commander Price will arrive within an hour, Lily said. He wants a full update on the repair status when he lands. Laura nodded. We'll have everything ready. Lily handed her a small data pad. He also wants you to see this. Laura looked at the pad and Lily left the room again. What is it? Eric asked. Laura opened the file. At first it looked like unreadable symbols, but then the display shifted into translated text. It was another intercepted message from the Arcani's fleet, taken shortly after Daniel's warning broadcast. Laura read the translation out loud. Human broadcast received. Threat acknowledged. Continue with original plan. Test their secondary forces. Primary fleet awaits their reaction. Eric leaned closer. They're still testing us. Laura lowered the pad slowly. They think we're holding back. Eric let out a dry laugh. Well, they're not wrong, Laura sighed, but they think we're holding back because we're afraid, not because we're planning. He nodded. That's going to be their mistake. The outpost speakers crackled. Attention all personnel. Incoming fleet shuttle approaching Hangar 2. Repeat, Hangar 2. That must be Daniel, Eric said. They walked through the dim corridor toward the hangar. Several crew members passed them carrying tools, wires, or replacement panels. The mood was still tense, but there was something stronger underneath, a determination that had not been there before. In the hangar, the shuttle doors hissed open. Commander Daniel Price stepped out carrying a compact case under one arm. He was calm, focused, and carried himself with the confidence of someone who had seen many battles and survived all of them. Laura, Eric, he said with a nod. Commander, Laura replied. We've prepared the latest scans and reports. Good, walk with me. They followed him to a small briefing room. Daniel set the case on the table and opened it. Inside was a small, cube-shaped device with glowing edges. What is that? Eric asked. A prototype, Daniel said. One of our hidden assets, something the galaxy hasn't seen yet. Laura watched the device with interest. What does it do? It adapts, Daniel said simply. It learns enemy weapon signatures and changes its defense field instantly. We've built only a few of these, but they might be the key to surviving the next wave. Eric raised an eyebrow. You think there will be another wave soon? Daniel's expression hardened. I don't think I know. He placed the cube on the table. We've been studying the Arcani's empire's behavior. Every action so far suggests they don't want a war that drags on. They want a fast victory. They want to hit us in several places at once and overwhelm us before we organize. Laura frowned. And they think we haven't organized. Daniel nodded. That's why we're going to surprise them. Laura glanced at Eric. Surprise them how? Daniel tapped the cube. With this and other systems like it, we will push their fleet back using technology they've never seen and tactics they don't understand. Eric smirked. I like the sound of that. Daniel's voice became quieter, more serious. But to do that, we need information. Your outpost recorded the first attack. That gives us something they weren't expecting. Now we need to understand their ships, their formations, and their weapons. Laura nodded. We still have the fragments of their transmissions. I can help decode more of them. Daniel looked at her with approval. Good. The more we know, the better our counterstrike. He lifted the cube again. This device will be used on our forward ships. They'll strike from positions the Empire believes are undefended. That's where we'll show them what humanity can do. Eric stepped closer. When does the mission begin? Daniel closed the case. It already has. Hours passed. The fleet sent additional personnel to the outpost and repairs moved faster. But Laura noticed how everyone moved with a new energy. The fear from the attack was still there, yes, but now something stronger guided them, purpose. She sat at her desk with the intercepted messages projected in front of her. Eric worked nearby, running scans of the enemy ships they had recorded. Look at this, she said suddenly. Eric walked over. What did you find? Their engine output changes every few seconds. It's not random. It's like they're adjusting to the space around them. Eric squinted. Why would they do that? To avoid detection systems, she said. Their ships aren't just fast. They're built to hide. Eric frowned. If they can hide that well, how many ships could they already have in our space? Laura felt a chill. We don't know. Daniel entered the room at that moment. Any progress? Laura motioned to the screen. Their ships adapt to avoid long-range scans. They might already be deeper inside human territory than we thought. Daniel's expression darkened. That matches what we found from other colonies. He placed another small device on the table. It projected a star map showing several red dots. These are locations where we lost contact with patrol units in the last week, Daniel said. At first we thought it was equipment failure. Now we know it was the Empire. Eric looked troubled. So they've been testing us for days. Longer, Daniel said, possibly weeks. Laura stared at the map. What were they waiting for? For us to react, Daniel said quietly. They wanted to see how we move, how we communicate, how we defend. Eric crossed his arms. They've seen it. Now they're underestimating us. Daniel gave a small but fierce smile. Exactly, and that's when we strike. Later that night, Laura walked outside onto the observation deck. The stars stretched across the sky like endless clusters of white fire. Somewhere out there, the Arcani's empire was preparing its next move. She thought of the message Daniel had sent. Run while you still can. At first she had wondered if it was too bold, too much of a challenge, but now she understood that it wasn't a threat out of pride. It was a statement of truth. Humans did not start fights, but humans ended them. She stood quietly until the door opened again. I thought I'd find you here, Eric said. Laura smiled faintly, just thinking. About the Empire, about what happens next. Eric leaned against the railing. Daniel says we have strength they don't know about. That makes us dangerous. Laura nodded slowly. Yes, but it also means we need to be careful. If we use everything at once, we show them too much. If we use too little, they'll think we're weak. Eric tilted his head. So we have to show them just enough. Exactly. They stood side by side watching the stars. Suddenly the deck speakers activated. All personnel, incoming encrypted message from Fleet Command. Laura and Eric exchanged a look and hurried inside. Daniel was already in the control room reading the message on a private channel. His jaw was tight. His expression was serious. What happened? Laura asked. Daniel looked up slowly. The Empire attacked another colony, a small one, no warning. They destroyed the main transport station and left. Eric clenched his fists. They're pushing harder. Yes, Daniel said, and that means they're ready for the next phase. Laura swallowed. What do we do? Daniel stepped closer to the main console. We respond differently this time, not by defending a border, not by waiting for the next hit. Eric's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Daniel spoke clearly, each word firm. We are sending a strike team into their territory. Laura felt her breath catch. A strike team? Into Empire space? Daniel nodded. A small one, quiet, fast, led by one of our best pilots. Eric raised an eyebrow. Who? Daniel opened another file. The image of a young woman appeared on the screen. Her uniform was crisp, her posture confident, and her eyes sharp as steel. Megan Carter, Daniel said. She has flown missions others said were impossible. Laura studied the image. What is her objective? Daniel replied. To disable the Empire's forward command ship. They use it to coordinate attacks. If we take it down, their fleets lose guidance. Eric let out a slow breath. That's bold. It's necessary, Daniel said. And she won't go alone. She'll be supported by adaptive systems that include the prototype we brought. Laura nodded. And if the strike succeeds, Daniel looked out the window at the stars, then the Empire's confidence will break. They will finally understand humanity is not what they believed. Laura looked at him carefully. And if it fails, Daniel paused, then they will come for us with everything they have. The room fell silent, but after a moment Daniel continued. That is why the mission must not fail. Megan and her team will leave at sunrise. They will slip past the border before the Empire notices them, and then they will strike. Laura knew the risk was enormous. Empire ships were advanced, powerful, and disciplined. But she also knew something else. Humans were unpredictable. Humans improvised. Humans adapted faster than logic could measure. Maybe that was their greatest strength. Later that night, Laura visited the hangar where Megan Carter and her team were preparing their ship. The vessel was small, sharp, and built for speed. Technicians ran checks on its engines while Megan reviewed a hologram of the Empire's forward fleet. Laura approached her. "You must be Megan." Megan turned and smiled lightly. "And you're Laura Bennett, the one who recorded the first attack." Laura nodded. "I just wanted to wish you luck." Megan shook her head gently. "Luck helps, but planning helps more." Laura smiled. "Then I hope you have both." Megan looked toward her ship. "We're ready, but I don't think the Empire is ready for us." Laura believed her. The next morning, just as the first rays of distant starlight touched the outpost hull, Megan Carter's ship lifted from the hangar. The engines glowed bright blue and the sleek craft shot through the night toward the border. Laura watched it disappear into the dark. Beside her, Daniel crossed his arms. "This will be the first human strike of the conflict." Laura nodded. "Do you think it will work?" Daniel kept his eyes on the empty sky. "Yes, because the Empire thinks humans fight like they do." "And we don't," Laura said quietly. "No," Daniel replied. "We don't." And far beyond their sight, Megan Carter's ship flew into enemy territory, where the Empire's fleets waited in confidence, unaware that humanity had sent something far more dangerous than a fleet. It had sent a team that adapted, a team that learned, a team that would show the Empire what it meant to wake a world that did not fear them. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity was not done surprising anyone. Megan Carter flew through the dark stretch of space with her hands steady on the controls. The stars ahead looked calm, almost peaceful, but she knew the peace was a lie. The Empire's territory began just beyond the faint border marker drifting in the void. Once she crossed it, every moment would be dangerous. Her ship was small, fast, and quiet, made for slipping through enemy lines. Behind her, 2 additional pilots followed in similar vessels, staying close but hidden in the ship's shadow. They were not a large team. They did not carry heavy weapons. Their mission depended not on strength but on skill, timing, and surprise. Megan checked her console. Engines stable, shields normal, staying on silent mode. Her voice was calm, but her heart beat faster than usual. She had flown dangerous missions before, but this was different. This mission was not about saving a group of people or protecting a transport route. This mission was about changing the entire direction of the war. Back at the outpost, Laura Bennett watched the ship's marker move across her screen. She felt every small shift, every tiny movement, as if she were inside the ship with Megan. Eric Holt stood beside her, arms crossed, not taking his eyes off the signal. "Her flight path looks good," he said quietly. Laura nodded. "I hope the Empire doesn't see her." Daniel Price walked into the room, his voice steady. "They won't, not yet." He pointed to a small device on the console, the same cube he had shown earlier. "That prototype is adapting to every scan that touches her ship. It knows how to bend signals so the Empire thinks she's just empty space." Eric let out a soft breath. "That still feels unbelievable to me." "It should," Daniel replied. "It's new, it's risky, and it's exactly what we need." In Megan's cockpit, the stars shifted as she passed the border. Her screen flashed a warning, entering unknown territory. She breathed slowly through her nose, steady and controlled. Her 2 teammates spoke through the quiet channel. "We're right behind you," one whispered. "Range stable," the other said. Megan responded, "Stay close. No one breaks formation unless I say so." She zoomed in on her map. The Empire's forward command ship was still far away, positioned near a cluster of large asteroid fragments. It was a massive vessel with long metallic wings and a curved body designed to command entire fleets. If they disabled it, the Empire's coordination would break. She studied the map again. "We will approach from the dark side of the asteroids. Keep your engines low." Her teammates replied with soft confirmations. As she flew deeper into enemy territory, she could feel the presence of something heavy and powerful in the distance. Empire ships were large, fast, and built with strange curved armor that made them look like moving blades. They patrolled in steady circles, searching for anything unusual. Megan spotted one of the patrols ahead. 3 Empire ships glided through the darkness, moving in perfect rhythm. "Hold position," she whispered. She shut her engines to minimum and used drifting momentum to slide past. The patrol ships passed close enough that she could see the faint glow of their engines. Laura, watching from the outpost, held her breath. "They're too close." Daniel shook his head. "Watch." The Empire's scanning line passed over Megan's ship and bent away. The prototype cube absorbed the signal and shifted it, making her ship look like a small rock drifting through space. The patrol moved on unaware. In the cockpit, Megan exhaled slowly. "We're clear, continue forward." Minutes passed, then hours. The deeper they traveled, the more Megan realized how well organized the Empire actually was. Their fleets moved like clockwork. Their patrol paths overlapped perfectly. They were not a careless enemy. They were not a simple threat. And that made this mission even more important. Finally, Megan saw it, the Empire's forward command ship. It floated between two broken asteroids, its metallic wings spread wide. Strange symbols glowed along its hull. Smaller ships swarmed around it like bees protecting their hive. Megan's two teammates gasped quietly. "It's huge," one whispered. "It's beautiful," the other added softly. Megan understood both reactions. The ship was both terrifying and impressive. It looked like something built with purpose, with a strict belief in power and control. She zoomed in. "We have one target, the command relay. Without it, the ship loses coordination with the rest of the fleet." Eric's voice crackled through the distant channel. "Megan, do you copy?" She tapped the comm. "Yes." "Laura found something," Eric said. "The Empire's command relay changes its frequency every minute. You need to strike at the exact time it shifts, or the attack won't disable it." Megan replied, "Understood, send me the timing." Laura's voice came on. "I'm sending you the pattern now. You'll have a 4-second window." Megan smiled faintly. 4 seconds, that's long enough." Daniel joined the channel. "Carter, this mission will shape what happens next. If you pull this off, the Empire will rethink everything they believe about us." Megan's eyes narrowed with focus. "Then I won't fail." She cut the channel and prepared for approach. Her ship drifted slowly toward the shadow of one of the large asteroids. She stayed hidden behind its surface until she could see the command ship clearly. The 4-second window was approaching. She whispered into her mic, "Get ready. Once I fire, we pull back fast." Her teammates answered with determined voices. The seconds ticked down. On the outpost, Laura counted quietly under her breath. Eric stared hard at the screen. Daniel stood with his hands behind his back, silent and watchful. Megan's finger hovered over the control. 3 seconds, 2, 1, she fired. A thin beam of bright energy shot from her ship, cutting through the dark space like a needle. It hit the command relay directly. Sparks burst outward. The entire wing of the command ship flickered like a dying star. Immediately, alarms blared across the Empire fleet. "Go," Megan shouted. Her ship shot backward as she reversed hard, dodging incoming fire. Empire ships did not know where the attack came from, but they fired in every direction, bursts of blue and silver energy filling the sky. Megan dodged left, then rolled sharply downward. One of the shots grazed her shield, shaking the cockpit. Her teammate shouted, "They're locking onto me." "Break formation," Megan ordered. "Don't fly straight," the second teammate cried out as another beam came too close. "My engines are hit, I'm losing speed." "Stay with me," Megan said quickly. "I'm coming to you." She swung her ship around and saw her teammates spinning out of control. Without hesitating, she fired at a nearby rock, sending debris drifting across the enemy's line of sight. The Empire scanners focused on the debris instead, giving her teammate a moment to recover. "Stabilizing," he gasped. "I'm good." "Then move." Empire ships gathered around the command vessel, trying to figure out what had damaged it. The relay continued to spark. Systems across the large ship began to shut down one by one. The Empire's formations broke apart as confusion spread. In the outpost, Eric blinked. "It's working. They're losing communication." Laura felt a wave of relief. "She did it." Daniel smiled slightly. "Megan just changed the course of this war." But the mission was not over. Megan still needed to escape. Empire ships now scanned the area aggressively, firing bursts into the dark. Megan dodged every shot with sharp instincts. "We need to reach the border," she said. "Stay behind me." Her teammates followed her as she weaved through asteroid fragments. The Empire ships chased, but their coordination was weak without their command relay. Some flew too fast and crashed into rocks. Others fired in the wrong direction. Their perfect rhythm was gone. Megan flew faster, but then a large Empire cruiser appeared directly in her path. "Brace," she shouted. The cruiser fired a blast of white energy. Megan twisted her ship sharply and the beam missed by inches, heating the metal on her wing. She felt the shock in her chest, but she kept flying. Her teammate behind her yelled, "I can't shake the cruiser." Megan flipped her ship, firing 2 quick shots at a nearby asteroid. The explosion pushed a massive cloud of dust outward. "Fly through the dust," she ordered. The team dove into the cloud and the Empire cruiser lost sight of them. Its scanners could not penetrate the thick dust, not without guidance from the command ship. Once they cleared the dust, Megan saw the border ahead. "Almost there," she whispered. Empire ships continued to fire, but the distance grew wider and wider. Megan pushed her engines to their limit. The border line appeared on her screen, glowing faintly. "We're crossing," she called. A final burst of energy fired from an Empire ship. It hit Megan's shield and her console sparked. She gritted her teeth and held the controls. And then they crossed the border. Everything went quiet. The Empire ship stopped firing instantly. They did not dare cross into human territory without direct orders, and their command ship was still disabled. Megan flew until she felt safe, then slowed her engines. Laura's voice came through, almost trembling. "Megan, are you okay?" Megan let out a breath she had been holding for minutes. "I'm alive. The relay is down. Mission complete." Eric cheered loudly. "She did it." Daniel finally allowed himself to relax. "Return home, Carter. You've done more than enough." Megan smiled tiredly. "On my way." Hours later, when she landed at the outpost, the hangar crew rushed to greet her. Her ship was scraped, heated, and smoking from the near hits, but it was intact. Laura was the first to reach her as the cockpit opened. "You did it," Laura said, her voice filled with awe. Megan stepped out, exhausted but smiling. "We all did. Your timing saved the mission." Eric clapped her on the shoulder. "You just made the Empire look confused for the first time." Daniel approached, his voice calm but proud. "Megan Carter, you struck the Empire where it thought it was strongest. They will not ignore this." Megan nodded. "Good, they need to understand we are not weak." Daniel looked around the hangar at everyone gathered there. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The Empire attacked first, but now they know something important." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "Humans don't back down." Laura glanced at the stars beyond the hangar doors. Somewhere out there, the Empire was reorganizing, planning, thinking. But now they were thinking differently, because humans had surprised them, because humans had pushed back, because the galaxy was beginning to understand the truth. Humanity was not a small world. Humanity was not a simple force. Humanity was a rising power with will, courage, and endless creativity. And this war was far from over. Daniel Price stood at the center of the command room, watching the slow shift of Empire fleet patterns on the main screen. Ever since Megan destroyed the command relay, the Empire's formations had scattered, broken, and turned chaotic. Their ships still moved, but not with the same strict rhythm as before. The damage Megan caused was not just physical. It was psychological. It forced the Empire to realize that humans were not the weak civilization they believed. Laura Bennett walked in with a tablet in her hand. Her hair was tied back and the purple shadows under her eyes showed she had not slept since the mission ended, but her voice was steady. "We received new transmissions from Earth," she said. "They're moving the main fleet toward the border." Daniel nodded. "They're preparing for the Empire's response." Eric Holt entered behind her carrying a tray with 3 cups. "And they're preparing fast, faster than anyone expected." Daniel managed a tired smile. "Good. We need to be faster than the Empire thinks possible." Eric handed him a cup. "You should drink something. You've been standing here for hours." Daniel took the cup, but he didn't drink. His eyes stayed locked on the screen. "The Empire won't accept the hit Megan delivered," he said calmly. "They'll retaliate hard." Laura looked at the data streams. "Then what's taking them so long? They should have regrouped by now." Daniel replied, "They're confused. They thought we had no hidden weapons, no advanced technology, no unpredictable strategies. Now they have to rethink everything." Eric leaned over the console. "Good, let them worry." Daniel shook his head slightly. "Worrying is not the same as stopping. They're angry now, and angry enemies are dangerous." Laura set her tablet down. "So what do?" Daniel said quietly. "We prepare for their full strike." Hours later, the outpost grew even busier. Technicians tightened armor plates on arriving ships. Engineers installed prototype cubes on several vessels. Soldiers ran drills in the hallways, preparing for a fight that could happen at any moment. Megan Carter walked into the room wearing a fresh uniform. Her steps were steady, but she still had a faint limp from the mission. Laura looked up and smiled. "You should be resting," Laura said. Megan shook her head. "Rest later, work now," Eric laughed. "You sound like Daniel." Megan smirked. "Don't tell him that." Daniel entered at that moment. "Tell me what?" Megan straightened quickly. "Nothing, sir." Daniel looked at her, amused for a brief moment before turning serious again. "Carter, your mission caused more damage than we expected. Empire communication networks across the border are failing. They're regrouping near a collapsing star." Megan raised an eyebrow. "A collapsing star? Why?" Laura answered. "It creates heavy radiation fields, hard to scan through, hard to attack." Daniel nodded. "They think we won't follow them there. They think the environment will protect them." Eric crossed his arms. "Will it?" Daniel said quietly. "No, not this time." He pulled up a projection of the collapsing star. It pulsed with bright red and orange waves, sending bursts of energy through surrounding space. Empire ships hovered around it like dark insects. "We are sending the fleet," Daniel said. "Not to start a war, but to give them one final chance to retreat." Laura blinked. "You're sending another warning." "Yes," Daniel said softly. "A final warning." Eric frowned. "And if they don't listen," Daniel's eyes hardened, "then we do what we must." Later, the fleet prepared to launch. Dozens of ships lined up outside Earth's orbital stations, engines glowing like blue lanterns. They carried adaptive shields, new weapon systems, and crews who had trained non-stop since the attack. In the control center, Laura watched the preparations with a tight chest. The scale of the operation was larger than anything she had seen in her life. Daniel stood beside her with his hands clasped behind his back. "Are you ready?" he asked. Laura shook her head honestly. "I don't think anyone can be ready for something like this." Daniel nodded. "Then we do it anyway." Eric entered, fastening the last strap of his gear. "My shuttle is ready. I'll be joining the infiltration team." Laura's eyes widened. "You're going to infiltrate another Empire ship?" Eric shrugged lightly. "Someone has to gather real-time intel, and I'm good at not dying." Megan joined them. "I'll be leading the forward strike group." Laura stared. "All of you are leaving." Megan smiled gently. "We'll be fine and we'll come back." But Laura wasn't sure. The collapsing star was unstable. One wrong move could tear a ship apart, and the Empire was gathering its strongest fleet there. Still, she nodded. "I believe in you." As the ships launched, the outpost shook lightly from the burst of engines. Laura watched them disappear into the stars. She felt both proud and terrified. Hours passed. Then the fleet approached the collapsing star. Daniel's voice came through the broadcast, calm and sharp. "To the Arcani's Empire," he began. "This is Commander Daniel Price of the United Earth Fleet." Empire ships shifted nervously. "You attacked peaceful humans without warning," Daniel continued. "You believed we were weak. You believed we would surrender." Silence spread across both fleets. "You were wrong," Daniel said. "We do not seek to destroy you. We offer you one last chance. Retreat now. This is your final warning." Laura listened from the outpost, her heart pounding. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the Empire's reply. Finally, a cold voice came through. "Your warning is rejected. Humans must know their place." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "So be it." At once, the Empire's ships opened fire. Massive beams of blue and white energy shot across space, aimed at the human fleet. Human ships responded instantly. Adaptive shields shifted colors as they absorbed blows. Megan's strike group dove between enemy formations, firing precise shots that disabled engines and communication towers. Eric's infiltration team entered a damaged Empire transport to gather data. The battle unfolded like a storm. The collapsing star pulsed brighter, throwing waves of red light across the battlefield. Gravity shifted unpredictably, pulling ships off their normal paths. Empire ships struggled against the wild space, their rigid formations breaking apart. Human ships, however, adapted quickly. Laura watched the live feed in awe. Humans twisted, rolled, improvised, and moved with unpredictable creativity. Megan flew through a narrow opening between two Empire cruisers, firing at weak points she discovered only seconds earlier. Eric's voice came through the channel. "I'm inside. I'm in the command room," Daniel replied. "Find any data that shows their long-term plan." "I'm on it." Inside the damaged Empire vessel, Eric moved through flickering halls, using small devices to hack their terminals. He discovered files showing invasion paths, planned occupations, and notes describing humans as young, unorganized, and slow. Eric muttered, "They really don't understand us." He sent everything to Daniel. In the main battle, Megan's ship shook violently as a blast hit her shield. "Shields at 30%, she whispered. Daniel's fleet pushed forward, forcing the Empire back toward the collapsing star. The radiation made their targeting systems unstable. Human ships adapted. Empire ships struggled. Finally, Daniel gave the order. All forward units target the Empire flagship. The flagship was enormous, with glowing symbols running along its spine. It launched a barrage of energy beams that ripped through space. Daniel fired first. A massive human weapon discharged a sphere of compressed gravity. It hit the flagship's shield, bending it inward like a dent in metal. The flagship shuddered. Megan flew past the flagship's hull, firing at its engines. Direct hit. Eric sent a final transmission from inside the Empire vessel. "Their systems are collapsing. Their fleet is losing contact." The flagship, unable to maintain stability, drifted too close to the collapsing star. Its shields failed. The energy from the star pulled at it like a giant, invisible hand. The Empire commander shouted something in their language, but it was too late. The flagship was dragged downward. It vanished in a burst of red and white light. The Empire fleet froze. Their command ship was gone. Their strategy gone. Their confidence gone. Daniel opened a channel across the battlefield. "To all Empire ships," he said, his voice steady, "you have lost your leadership. You have lost your attack plan, and you have lost your chance." Silence. "Retreat now," Daniel continued. "This is your final chance to survive." One by one, Empire ships turned away. Engines lit up. Their formations dissolved. They fled into deep space. The battle was over. Laura cried quietly as she watched the victory unfold. Megan's tired voice came through. "We did it. They're running." Eric laughed weakly. "I'm getting out of this ship before it explodes." Daniel spoke calmly. "Return home, all units." When Megan, Eric, and the others returned to the outpost, they were met with cheers, tears, and relief. Engineers rushed to help. Medical teams assisted injured crew. Laura hugged Megan first, then Eric. "You both scared me," she said through tears. Eric smirked. "We scared ourselves too." Daniel entered last, his uniform scorched at the edges. Everyone turned toward him. He raised his voice so the room could hear. "Today, humanity did not conquer. Humanity defended. We defended our homes, our people, and our right to exist." He looked toward the stars. "The Empire attacked first. Now they understand something important." Laura listened closely as he continued. "Humans do not bow. Humans do not break. Humans adapt. Humans rise. And when pushed, humans answer with strength." Megan smiled softly. "What now?" Daniel looked at his team. "Now," he said, "we prepare for peace but stay ready for anything." Outside the outpost window, the galaxy stretched far and wide. The Arcani's empire was retreating, wounded and confused. They would think twice before attacking again. For the first time in a long time, the stars looked calm. And humanity stood stronger than ever, united, determined, and ready for the future.